ones in the crowd. Not many are allowed. One crit could bring them down. So squishy from the mold. They're weak but very bold. Took hours to propose.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Roll D5 Table for Two Saturday Showcase. My name is Daniel, and I'm going to be your game master tonight. And we're going to be playing a game that I've been very excited to play. We're playing Godkiller. Godkiller, for those who don't know, is we're playing Godkiller First Blood Edition, which is a holypunk PbtA game for one player, the Godkiller, who's I'm going to introduce in a second, and one game master, the God of Gods. This game was made by Connie Chang, who is a trans 1.5 generation Chinese American, actual play performer, and tabletop roleplay game designer. This game is designed to tell a tale together. It's a kind of a little bit of an antagonistic relationship between the Godkiller and the game master, but it's mostly a shared narrative in which we are both trying to create the best story. We will weave a mythic, violent, and transformative tale about the only mortal in existence with the power to slay gods, who's rising against the challenges of the divine. So, for this, I will start by introducing my dear player for the night, a player who I've known for many years, who basically reshaped my love for TTRPGs maybe 15, 12, 11 years back.
Numbers.
So Dylan, how are you?
I am wonderful and I'm happy to be here. I'm Dylan. I am a game designer, storyteller, musician, all things lover of creativity. I run the podcasts Children of Ash, which is a real play TTRPG podcast. We tell stories about the world after the world using a variety of systems. And I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So thank you so much for heeding the call. I think I've been wanting to play with you for a while. You've been playing with me quite a few times lately, but I've been wanting to be your game master for a while. Today is the day. I'm really happy to see that we got to try this very innovative system and really fun system and see where it gets us. So tonight we have Nat'ly on tech. Thank you so much, Nat'ly, for your time, your dedication, and as always, your precision with tech. And we want to thank all of the GMs and players that have been enjoying today, the games of today. This has been a fantastic showcase Saturday. I hope that we get to have many more of these because they're very fun. So, without further ado, I think it's time to jump into Godkiller. So, just because the introduction to this game is so awesome, I'm gonna read it straight from the book. I weep for you. I weep for the violence the gods will inflict upon you, and the violence that you will inflict upon the gods. I weep for the person you used to be before you emerged in a baptism of fire and blood, smeared in the viscera of a life you could have led, your hopes ignited on a funeral pyre. I weep for your mortal heart, entangled in a body cursed with the divine providence. I weep for your dreams. I weep for your home. I weep for you, for your parents, and the child they will lose. The cannibals are real, and your world worships them. They call them light and sound and water and breath, war and death and sex and drink, movement and flame, nature and destiny. Their names, endless as stars, infinite as the bottom of sorrow. Gods. They will seek to use you in their game. You must not let them. For you are not the pawn, the worshipper, the sin confessed in darkness. You are not the witch, the heathen, the sweeping winds of change. You are not the beast, the gore, the horror lurking in the wield. You are not the revenant, the fury, the locks of hair from lovers lost. You are not the prophet, the reckoning, the greatest divinity of all. You are not the dancer, the novelty, the pretty animal in its cage. You are not the saint, the lamb, the tinder set before the altar. You are one thing and one thing only. You are the Godkiller. And the gods will taste your steel. So drink my tears, lover, and wet your cheeks with my blood. I have been waiting for your arrival for 10,000 lifetimes, and I can wait for one more. The cradle will know your deeds, your sins, your trophies, and your epithets. Your arteries will run gold with the name of every god you will kill. You will die, and your body will be interred in the parched banks of the dried-up river, and your enemies will weep, and I will weep, and you will finally rest. This is the introduction of Godkiller. Godkiller introduces a world called the Cradle. Just to give our audience a little bit of background before we start with the game. The Cradle is a world that used to thrive when all of the gods came down from the river, which is this kind of aurora borealis that used to embrace the entire world with light and radiance. But that river in the sky dried up the moment the gods found out they could kill each other and they could fight each other and they could use mortals in their games. So since then, gods have been killing each other and leaving carcasses of other gods all around this beautiful world. This world then turned into something of a quiet wasteland, something of a serene graveyard. But the remains of what these fights have left has become the world. And in this world, we are gonna tell the story of the Godkiller, Maple. Godkiller, would you please, before we set the first scene, describe Maple for us?
Visually? Or?
Yeah, just visually. We will start a scene immediately after that.
So Maple is a not elderly, but older individual. Salt and pepper hair down to the shoulders, a little bit scraggly, pulled back away from the face into a makeshift knot in the back. They wear an apron, a chef's apron, that's constantly covered in all sorts of stains of who knows what. It's filled with pockets in which they keep numerous objects that they use to ply their trade. Yeah, they are maybe about 5.5 feet tall, stocky, lightly hunched, bit of a rounded shape, big cheeks, a little rosy around the edges, and crow's feet around the eyes.
Great. And I love this particular image because we are going to start in a big contrast. The place we're in is what used to be, or may still be called, the Crossroads. The Crossroads was a safe haven, a place for tired mortals and even some tired gods. A place where you could rest, grab something to eat, grab a place to sleep, and maybe hear a story or two. The Crossroads was kind of a little oasis in the barren, inhospitable world that is the cradle, as if a radiant light was protecting it from the worse divinities around. But as the camera pans in and enters through one of the windows of this old wooden building, we see a gruesome scene. We see all of the patrons cuddled up in the corners, trying to flee from the center of this inn. And we see an old beggar, too frail to move, too frail to even lift a finger anymore, with their knees on the floor, looking up at you, Maple. Everybody else, right now, might think that this old beggar is just that. But you know better. You know the god of the hearth left this place. You suspect the god of the hearth sent this creature here to finish the job. Under your foot, there is a rotten beech. It's still very hard. It's rotten and almost decayed. So it should be very easy to squish it with your foot. But something is resisting it. You're looking at this beggar, and on your foot is this beech. This, Maple, as you know now, is then the god of the shadow, Toxin. This is the creature who poisoned the hearth after your god left. This is the creature that came into the crossroads with a friendly hand and a friendly smile, and you gave them sanctuary, you gave them food, you nourished them, and then they poisoned everybody. All of the people around you are coughing. But now, you have this god at your mercy. On your foot is what we call the heart. Every god in this game has a hunger, a heart, a power, a downfall, and a curse. You've already beaten this creature. Its heart is on your foot. You already know their downfall is purification. Godkiller, you have a choice to make before we start the game. Will you kill, or will you spare this god?
I see we're jumping right into the comedy. So the peach is Ven, or the beggar is Ven?
Both. I'm gonna ask you, how did you remove the peach from the beggar?
Assuming I recognize the beggar immediately, I think what I would probably do is I'm imagining this beggar kind of coming in and being prostrating themselves before the floor, begging for food.
They've probably been there for days. You've probably been helping them for days. Until you I can definitely brainstorm this with you. The way I'm seeing it This beggar has been here for days, eating your food and secretly poisoning people and secretly poisoning everyone, and kind of showing that the god of the hearth has left, that this is not a safe place anymore. And I don't want to know exactly how you found out all of the things about this god. This god is here for you to either slay it or forgive it. But what I want to say is that you probably gave them all your trust for a few days or some time, and then you started knowing, and then you started seeing the things that were happening, and you were probably suspicious, and nobody didn't even suspect this beggar was a god, but you did, and you found out, its heart. You found that they had a peach, and then you found their downfall. You found that purification would kill this heart.
So, what I imagine probably has led to this moment is that over this time of slowly discovering who the beggar is, as soon as I learned, what I probably would have begun to do is continue serving them, but I would be replacing what I've served them with slowly in the beginning. Rather than soup with vegetables and matzo balls, I would probably begin leaving rocks in the soup and including the leftover refuse of other people's meals and treating them the way that they had been treating everyone else in the beginning. And after seeing them kind of begin to feed on this to an extent, not do anything, I imagine this is part of how I discovered the downfall, kind of slowly put two and two together until finally one day seeing them with this peach, I'm imagining putting shavings in food or catching them somehow using that to help as the poison, to contaminate everything. And once I've caught them in this act, wait until they're asleep and go out to stables where I assume that the beggar would probably be sleeping in the night, and try to remove it from them while they're asleep, not knowing whether gods sleep. Would the gods be sleeping? Or would the god be sleeping?
This beggar was passing up as a mortal for the longest time, so yes, they would have slept, and you would probably have been able to steal the peach. Right now, the only thing that I want to say is that at this, like, you probably snuck into their food. The thing I would say is that your divinity, when your god left the crossroads, you took the place. You took in charge of the place. You became the sole protector of the place, and you thought that you wouldn't need a god. You thought you could do it on your own. So this creature is here reminding you of your failure, reminding you that without the god of the hearth, this place is not a safe haven anymore. So you probably stole the peach, but still, in your demonstration of your failure, ended up in the middle of the room publicly shaming this person with the peach in your food. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. And there's probably an element of shame also in being caught in that moment for falling victim to the vindictive nature of betrayal and vengeance desires. So in order to purify this peach,
you start feeling, for the first time in your life, that something within you is not right. When the god of the hearth left, he probably left something in you. This thing, these intrusive thoughts that have been plaguing your days and nights since the fires just don't heat up the food as much, since the beds itch, since the tables seem to creak. This thing inside of you is starting to feel more and more and more out there. You feel that this is the thing that helped you understand this God's heart and downfall. And now it is within you and is trying to seep out as you have this God's life under your foot. You said when we talked that your divinity was, let me remember because I didn't write it.
The trigger?
Radiant, soft, and enviable, right?
No, we want fearsome, dark, and hard to control.
Oh, fearsome, dark, and yeah, that is the thing. That fearsome, dark, and hard to control has been seeping out of you, and that's the emotion. I'm gonna ask you, how is your divinity presenting itself? You, for the time being, I will say your divinity is dormant, but it doesn't matter for this scene. You don't have to have your divinity awaken, but it's still there. Right? This thing is trying to get out of you, and this anger and this pain is getting out of you, and you have the life of this god on your foot. But this divinity is the first time you feel it. It's the first time you feel more than a mortal, and the people around you are looking at you, and you don't know if their face has curiosity or fear. Those who aren't sick, but there's still like 30 people in the room.
Yeah. I think that... So you're wanting to know what it looks like?
Or how it starts manifesting as you make this choice.
Yeah, I think that as I'm holding this peach, because I would pick it up from the floor and be kind of trying to figure out what to do with this thing, my divinity would be seeping out in these kinds of dark strands that are trying to... they're lashing out at things around me. Probably... They're not quite like, tentacles or anything like that, but more whip-like, a little bit more just, flickering at anything nearby, scaring people away. Probably some of the patrons are pulling back in fear or concern because this
I love this.
Not like Maple.
Yeah. And some of these people have been seeing Maple for 20 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Or longer.
Yeah.
I don't know that my divinity would help me right here, though, with this. I don't think that this is a problem that can be solved with this dark energy. Because that's what I've been trying to do. It has been trying to be resolved through some level of emotional or physical violence against this person or this god.
I love that.
And I think instead I'm going to take the peach and I'm going to walk with it back into the kitchen. Away from the god.
Away from the god. So technically for the game for the game mechanics, you are sparing a god?
It's interesting. If killing the god is purifying the peach,
yeah,
I feel like in a way that would be, for Maple, that would be sparing them. But it wouldn't mechanically be sparing them. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
no. If you purify the peach, you kill this god, you get their power, and consequences happen.
Yeah. Thank you for like starting with a really difficult problem. Yeah. I think that is really the thing that they're walking away kind of trying to wrestle with, is what to do with it. And I think they're starting with this idea of separating the beggar from the peach. And I don't know if that could in and of itself be representative of a purification process.
I would say the beggar is a husk. The beggar is just a mirage. It's just an image. It's just a puppet. You have the god in your hands. As you walk into the kitchen, all of the people start like. Some of the people that were trying to flee the crossroads have already fled. You still have an audience of 15 or 18 people running towards you in the kitchen, looking at you, entering the kitchen, and with the peach in your hands. As you enter the kitchen, you hear a voice in your head. The voice in your head says, Maple, are you not gonna defend the crossroads? Are you not gonna protect your home? This is a voice you don't recognize, but it's a voice indeed, and it's a godly voice.
Maple is going to ignore the voice or try to push it out, but fail. And in a uncommon but increasingly common fit of rage, take the peach and throw it into the oven.
Into the oven.
I don't know if this should count as trying to kill through purification of fire, or
yes,
a spare. Okay.
I will count it. I will count
Okay.
it. I will count it. If you destroy this object, there's no saving. There's no sparing this god. This is skill.
Okay.
With that in your hands, it says, when you confront a god in their true form and exploit their downfall to kill them, describe how you slay them by throwing them into the oven. And now roll 2d6.
That would be 2 3s, so a total of 6.
Good. On a miss, 6 and minus, they will bestow a curse upon you with their dying breath. So,
of course,
basically, you, as all of this peering eyes are trying to get into the kitchen and see what are you gonna be doing, you grab the peach, this rotten peach, in your hand, and you throw it in the oven. You throw it in the fire, but as you throw it in the fire, those tendrils, those kind of like, I'm gonna say they're sticky. This dark tendrils, they manifest as this sort of stickiness, as if this this rotten kind of decay from the peach has stuck into your hand. So these tendrils that are your divinity can kind of start flailing around the kitchen and start basically flailing at the cups and the plates and all the cutlery and the things that are around you. And the two of your aides that are usually there in the kitchen are like start hiding on the tables. Is this fear? Are people fearing you, Maple? Maybe. We'll get to that. As you throw the peach in the fire, you see the beggar try to rise up, like from the inn, and start trying to take all the peering people, the peering eyes, the nosy people from the entrance. But as the beggar takes the last of them and you start seeing them, you thought that they would be sad to go, sad to leave this existence, sad to leave the cradle. But this beggar, their smile, almost toothless smile, and their eyes are just they're full of a longing. This thing wanted to die. This thing wanted to be burned by purification of fire. And their avatar, this beggar, starts giggling and points at you with a bony hand, almost skeletal, points at you and utters the words, "Thou shalt not nourish others. This is your curse." This is the curse that Maple will have for the remainder of the game. Thou shalt not nourish others. Now, that said, killing a god gives you a power. Your new power, Maple, the Godkiller, is decay. So write that down on your characters sheet. And how does it feel to grab this power? How does it feel, the power of decay kind of sticking to your hand? And you start seeing kind of like a little bit like venom. You see this like rotten peach kind of entering your pores as it disappears and dissipates inside of you. And you feel this kind of decay and sickness inside of you, but you don't see it.
I think that the curse mixed with the power, mixed with the fear that I can see in the kitchen staff around me, I think what it feels like is shame. Yeah, I don't think there's anything good about that feeling for Maple. Even if it is a power, even if it is a strength.
Good. Killing a god is no small feat. No other mortal has ever done this before. So the little audience you have here at the Crossroads have just witnessed what for some of them could be a miracle, but some others, this is the top act of heathenism. Is that a word?
Heathenism.
Heathenism. But yeah, this is a travesty on the gods. This is not something that. And the reason everybody knows that you just killed a god, even though most of them thought it was only a beggar, is because of the effects of this. Killing then the god of the shadow toxin has just affected the cradle. A pulse has just exploded from this tavern out, from this inn out. And two things are happening. Everything that was fresh, that you can see, especially all the produce, all of the food, all has immediately decayed into rot. You don't know how far this has gone. This has gone. But in its place, even if there was like an apple sitting on a table, even if there was I would say some food for the pigs in the sties, everything decayed and immediately became flowers. So imagine something rotting really, really fast and then turning into this kind of twisted and deranged. What color are the flowers?
Are they pretty flowers or are they ugly flowers? Let's start there.
I would say they are interesting flowers. They're a manifestation of the death of a god. So they are a sign of hope.
I think that they would probably be blues and violets in color, with maybe some black and yellow stripes.
Good. So all of your kitchen is now filled with these flowers. All of the plates that were out there where people were eating now have these flowers. And now you have to talk to your patrons. They're all still there. And they're looking at you in absolute disbelief.
Oh. Oh my. I'm afraid to say I think the kitchen might be closed for the night. And she's just gonna they're just gonna close the kitchen door and avoid their patrons.
There's a silence. And immediately you hear someone shouting the word Godkiller. And then somebody else. Godkiller. And then somebody else. Godkiller. 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 And the voices start booming. You look through the window of your kitchen and you see people running out of the inn, spreading the word like poison.
Oh no. Maple is kind of observing this back against the door, kind of peeking over through the pass-through window to the rest of the establishment. A little bit of a look of panic on their face. Are there still kitchen staff in the kitchen? What are they doing?
Hiding under the tables, looking at you with absolute fear.
It's okay. Everything will be fine. We'll just need to go and get some more. We'll replenish the supplies. Everything will be fine. Just send everybody home and we'll start again tomorrow. And they're just gonna book it out of there, out of the back of the kitchen. I imagine that there's some sort of rear entrance that they would load, food and such into the pantry or access, at exterior storage or something. But they're just going to book it towards that exit. Kind of.
Exit, you're going to leave the building.
Yes.
Okay.
They're going to try to just get out of there, leave the scene of the crime.
You're leaving the scene of the crime. You open the door behind you. You close the door behind you. And standing outside of the tavern, outside of the inn, it's a familiar face. It's a friend. Someone who's been your friend for how many years? You met them since they were a boy. This is Raw. The stable boy that is just not a boy anymore, but in your mind, he will always be. He's looking at you, and he was probably waiting. He knows where you escape when things don't go your way. And his stable is just right by. And he looks at you and says, Bube, what happened?
Nothing. Everything is fine. And Maple is kind of frantically moving about the stable, trying to, not even sure what they're doing really, but trying to find something, some sort of act to be purposeful about, to be distracting them from what has happened. But there is nothing that you need to worry about. Everything is fine. Everything will be good. I just, I think I need to go for a walk, or maybe a ride. It is.
Ube, this is not going anywhere. Look around you. And as you look around, these flowers are starting to grow more and more and more. Some of them are at your feet, right? But some of them are way out in the distance of this barren kind of place you used to call the crossroads, where you had like a couple of little meadows. They weren't thriving with life, but they were nice. But do you see some of these patches of flowers, of this kind of shining flowers growing from the earth, almost as small trees, and they just keep growing in spiraling patterns. And now you see that whatever you started doesn't seem like it's stopping. When you turn your head towards the, let's say, the east, some of the small supportive buildings of the tavern are starting to be engulfed, like kind of surrounded by this interesting flowers. This thing doesn't seem to be stopping. And as far as you can see, as far as your sight, how is Maple's eyesight, by the way?
I would say Maple's eyesight is probably passable. Not amazing, but they're not like some, nearsighted old crone or anything.
So, as far as your sight can see, this thing is sprawling from the crossroads out. And unless you do anything, it doesn't seem to be... You don't know if it's a good or a bad thing.
I think in that moment, Maple kind of begins to really realize that something has happened, something has changed. And stops. Looks around, and, leans down and grabs one of the flowers by the stem and kind of like feels the stem a little bit before slowly plucking it, examining it closely. Does it have a smell? Do these flowers have any scent?
What was the first dish you ever served?
Served or made?
Served.
I think the first dish that Maple ever served was probably a soup, because just like any tavern, worth its salt, they probably had a blanking on the actual proper name, but a forever stew. One of those soups that's just always going on the hearth. That everything is just constantly being added to, and food being removed from and served from. That probably would have been the very first thing that Maple ever served. It's also probably the dish that they most closely associated with the god of the hearth.
Which I've already named. I'll tell you the name of the god of the hearth.
Thank you, because I was terrible at names.
The name for the god of the hearth is Kinder. Chinder, like cinder, but with an H. Kinder, god of the welcoming heart. And this flower, the scent of this flower reminding you of that soup. Then it hits you. These flowers don't smell like this for nothing. It was expected of you to get rid of the poisoner. It was expected of you to gain the power of decay. And it was expected of you to be cursed, to not nourish others ever again. Why did Kinder leave? Do you know? Did he say?
Following from our character creation conversations, I don't think Maple even knew that Kinder was gone until after after Ven, god of Shadow Toxin, had begun to poison everyone.
I love that.
In the beginning, I think they actually thought that somehow it was Kinder.
This doubt, this thing within you, is kind of eating you. I'm gonna give you 1 point of strain. This situation is not ideal. This confusion is not ideal. And what's your, let me see. I have your document here. You start feeling this pain within you. And Raw is still looking at you, baffled. But some people are starting to find you, and you feel like they're mocking you. Like people want to see this Godkiller. And you start seeing some of them creep out from behind the bushes, from behind the barn doors, from behind the big styes. It's almost like they're appearing out of nowhere. This people you used to help and serve and feed and share stories with, now they're looking at you like you're strange. But not only that, now you feel a mocking. Now you feel a slander.
I think that Mabel feels their eyes boring into their into Maple's back. Maple's trying to keep their back to all of these onlookers, trying to ignore them, trying not to give in to urges that would make them ashamed even further, and instead focuses on Raw. Please, can we go for a walk? Can we go for a ride, perhaps? Can we just... Would you like to come with me anywhere but here?
I was already ready, Maple. And as you turn right, he snaps his fingers, and this extremely malnourished horse comes galloping from the side. You know this horse by which name?
You're asking me to name the horse?
Yeah, why not? This would be role playing if you weren't naming horses.
Let's see. Is this my horse or Raw's horse?
It's Ross' horse, but you've met this horse again, probably 5-10 years. You've tried to nourish this horse, but there's just never been good food for it.
I think Maple probably have attempted to name the horse after a food.
Yeah.
Trying to inspire it to stop being so malnourished, to eat more carrot sticks.
Good. Raw is trying to help you get up on carrot sticks with him. But all these people, now you see more of them. And now you don't recognize half of them. They're slandering you, they are mocking you, they're coming out of the doors, they're looking out of the windows. And it's like this feeling inside you, this thing that caused you strain, right? It's about to cause you strain again if you don't release it. If you don't do anything right now. You are getting up on the horse, but their laughter and their words and their pointed fingers is absolutely everything against someone who's just been a good person, who's been helping everybody in this horrible place.
Mabel grabs the closest thing to them, spins around, and yells, "Go away!" and throws it at whoever, whatever they see. Potentially with a little bit of that divinity touching it, following it. Not necessarily mechanically, but...
Oh, it's mechanic, and I'll tell you how.
Inflict
You
violence?
are, no. You are, for all intents and purposes, just go back to my little page here. You are turning to violence against someone who slanders or mocks your pain. The moment you grab this object that you don't even know what it is and you throw it at them, it's like this, their divinity is dark, hard to control. Yeah. In this object, let's say you probably grabbed something from the pouch that Carrot Sticks had, something, probably a piece of, maybe a little apple, and you throw it at them. And as you throw this apple at some of the figures behind it, this apple shines and glows in a radiant light, and as it hits the wall, it explodes the wall. Now these people are completely afraid of you, and this force within you that you felt dark and obtuse and kind of sticky feels like it's just liberated inside you. You feel peace. You feel the same feeling that you get when you deliver a fresh bowl of soup, but magnified 100 times. Inside you, your divinity has awakened. You can mark your divinity as awake. Ra feels this, sees this, and stops idling and starts galloping really, really fast away from the crossroads.
Did I make it on top of Carrot Sticks?
Yeah.
Okay.
You
okay.
probably throw it from atop Carrot Sticks.
Okay. As we're riding away, kind of not really holding onto Raw terribly tightly with this kind of newfound peace. There's a bit of a relaxation, and Mabel's beginning to feel like their old self again for a moment. Look around and all these flowers that I assume are going out beyond just the crossroads.
Yeah, way beyond.
Yeah.
You've been, if depending on how much time you want it to pass, and you can tell me, I'll tell you when the flowers stop.
Oh, I was just thinking. They look around and kind of comment to Raw. At least it's beautiful, isn't it?
The what?
At least it's beautiful, isn't it?
Raw, galloping really fast, goes and says, "What are you talking about, Maple? What's beautiful?"
The flowers. I mean, everything is now bathed in color.
Are you right? Are you right on the head?
Oh, don't be like that, young man.
Those flowers were consuming everything. They were creeping on the buildings. I didn't even know my stables are gonna be there when we come back.
Were they really consuming, or were they just painting? No, I'm sure everything will be fine. Everything will be just perfect when we get back. Just maybe a little bit more pretty. That's all. Right?
I mean, I was never welcome there. So in a way, maybe it's a reset. What am I talking about? There's good people there. We were helping people.
Oh, they'll be fine on their own. They don't need us.
Maple, what do you mean?
Oh, I'm sure that they never really needed us. They'll be fine.
You don't sound like yourself.
I think at that Maple is probably just going to go quiet for a bit. And just sit behind Raw as the course continues.
What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? The closest thing is the metropolis of Iron. And I know how much you hate that place. Since they're always raiding us. I remind you that you have mortal moves. As, for example, pray for guidance, act impulsively, feel someone or something out, and connect with someone technically because you're here with Raw. But remember, you have those as part of your tool set.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. I think Maple would give it a little bit longer. Let the conversation die out. Let Raw stop trying to talk, and then eventually pray for guidance.
Good. The moment you pray for guidance, it says, when you try to feel out a person, place, or thing, say what you want. Pray for guidance. When you play for guidance, name the aid you seek and answer one question. The GM will describe the aid that actually comes as they answer the other.
Interestingly enough, I kind of feel like, what unclear omens or visions besiege me is this erupting wave of flowers. I think, though, that I think that is absolutely, the unclear omens or visions. I think all of this to Maple feels like one large omen. That's, on the one hand, there is a level of peace that activating their divinity kind of creates, but Maple's kind of keeping that front and center as their mask, while deep down there is this concern of what the fuck just happened. What does this mean? What is going on? How do I worship my god if I can't nourish? So it's a mixture of all these, omens and visions and questions, and just trying to find direction.
Good. The kind of God that answers this prayer, right? You're praying on these images of the flowers. This images fills your mind, and you feel sitting back to back. So you, like, Ra is in the front, you are right behind him, and you feel somebody sitting back to you with their legs out towards the back of the horse. And this is a voice, or a god, or they've been talking to you since this beggar came in, since people started getting sick. This is the god or the voice that had been guiding you towards the answer of who and why and what was poisoning the people. They were never very clear with their intentions, but you feel their warmth, and you recognize their voice. And every single time that you felt their warmth and recognized their voice, you've seen fireflies, or you've seen fireflies even in the middle of the day. And right now, surrounding the horse, there's as if the horse is leaving a trail of fireflies. So you know it is this same godly entity that you're praying to unwittingly. And the voice says, "You're welcome."
You did this?
Oh, no. You did this.
No, that's impossible. That's preposterous. No.
Good old Kinder was nowhere to be found. Poor little Maple just wanted the sickness to end. Well, now the sickness is ending.
And it hasn't just turned into a new type of sickness?
Well, that depends on how you see sickness, dear Maple. But you see, now you're in my debt. I've been using my time and my effort and my resources to help you. And now I've confirmed what I was very excited to suspect. You are a Godkiller. Fascinating.
No, I'm not. Who is this? Who are you?
let's say Maple doesn't know, but Dylan may. This is Snay, the god of despair, who you've unwittingly, unwittingly, is that a word? Oh, with whom you formed a covenant of debt somewhere in the past, somewhere with a prayer that you thought was for Kinder, and was answered by somebody else that guided you. But this is Dylan. Maple has no idea, and the god of despair just answers, "I'm just an interested party. It's easier for me to talk to you right now after you've, let's say, embraced what was already there."
You must have the wrong person. That wasn't me. I had nothing to do with that. That was, if it wasn't you, it was another god or spirit or something. But no mortal has ever killed a god. That's preposterous.
Well, not until now. And now you've got to deal with that. Look at this beautiful landscape you've created. And as you see around you, there's still some flowers growing. You've been galloping for hours and you still see little flowers, not big ones trying to eat everything, little ones. You see this, the cradle was very, very barren, very ugly, and now there's little flowers growing. Didn't you just say that's beautiful?
Did I?
Well, I'm always listening, Maple.
Well, I don't see how you couldn't be wrong about one more thing, but sure. I mean, they are a pretty color, but and in this moment probably grip on oh my god, I'm
Raw?
yeah, on Raw probably tightens just a little bit out of anxiety.
Oh, don't worry, he can't listen. You and I are talking, but his mind is somewhere else. Do you want to know what's in his mind?
I feel like you're expecting me to say yes, but I should say no.
The only thing I am expecting, Maple, are straight answers before I tell you how you're going to repay the debt you owe me. You're gonna like this. It aligns with your cause.
And what is my cause?
I know where that bastard fled to. It's not very far.
Maple swallows hard. And where might that be?
Curiosity. That's a good thing. I just need to make sure of one thing. What will you do when you find him? Because I do want you to kill him. If you can kill gods, my life would be much better without Kinder roaming around.
Well, that sounds then like you have a real problem on your hands now, doesn't it? Why don't you tell me where he might be found, and we'll go from there. But would appear to me that you don't seem to have earned my trust yet.
Your trust means nothing to me. I can leave. You won't find him. And you and your stable man will flee towards nowhere, and you'll have to find somewhere new to go home. And that's fine by me. But I will come back to collect one day. I just thought this was a way to repay your debt and lose this debt.
It sounds to me like you have a desperate need that, if what you say is true, that only I can fulfill.
I mean, gods can kill gods. But it's way cleaner if a Godkiller does it. More official. And I'm not one for terminating gods. I like them to really, really, really hate their life. Not to end them. But Kinder, he's a splinter in my shoe.
No, I understand. That's quite a burden to carry on yourself. Killing without cause. It's...
Without cause. Let's see. Let me just see my little page here.
I'm trying to see if there's an action here that I can utilize.
Oh, you have challenged someone dangerous. You have recognized a god. You still don't know which god this is. You still have recognized a god.
Fair.
You can tempt fate. You can tempt fate. You can unleash your divinity.
Yeah. I don't think I want to unleash my divinity. That feels a little too extreme for this moment. I think recognize a god might be something that Maple would try. Maple is definitely getting increasingly... The anxiety is fading the further that they travel from the original scene of the crime, and this entity that they're conversing with has definitely expressed an interest. And it's not an interest that would have been expressed if it weren't a strong interest. So I think they're beginning to feel like there is an amount of leverage that they actually have that perhaps maybe doesn't exist, but definitely exists in their head. Do
you want to recognize who this is?
I think I do want to try to recognize who this is. I think that it's beginning to feel like perhaps at this point I might be familiar with their gospel. I don't know. You would know better than me how...
You are.
Okay, yeah.
I cannot tell you how, but you are.
Okay.
And I would definitely say you're near or in their domain.
Okay.
And
I don't think it would be bad if I don't know it.
No, I don't think it will be bad if you don't know. So you can roll a d6. 2d6.
Yeah. For the audience, those are the three things that can get me bonuses to this roll.
Yeah.
So that's a 5 plus 2, so that's a 7 in total.
Good. That's a hit. So you start listening to this god's words, to this entity's words, and yeah, for a time you thought you were listening to your own god, and you thought their guidance was the one pushing you forward to help the poison people and help the crossroads. But with this divinity awakened, well, with this divinity within you, not the awakened divinity, because that's a more powerful thing, but with this new divinity within you, it's easier for Maple to see the liars from the truth from the lies in another way. So, the omens you've been having, the flowers you've been seeing, they are a byproduct of what you did, right? Killing a god in the place where nobody should die, in the place where everybody's safe. But the answer for that was supposed to be flames. So now you know that this entity behind you is not Kinder. So you recognize 100% for sure that this is not the god of the hearth. And I would say that you recognize that this voice you're hearing behind you is a god of. It's a god that is very pervasive. They are in everything. They are in everyone. There's a part of them in absolutely everybody. So you recognize that little part of despair inside of you that is this god. And you know that the reason this god is speaking to you with answers you need is because his despair is your despair. He feeds on this. And now you are allowed to ask me a question that I can answer completely honestly.
Why do they want Kinder dead?
They want Kinder dead because nourishing, because safety, because sanctuary, hurt, despair, and the reason there's a Godkiller in the world right now feels to him as this nourishing hope. So in this god's mind, that hope needs to die for good, and the Godkiller needs to become a force that kills gods and not a force that gives hope. Does that make sense?
I guess. A little bit. Okay. Come with me.
With you, I'm always with you.
Very well. Tell me where we can find Kinder.
Are you gonna kill him?
Well, that depends, doesn't it?
That works. 2 days to the east. There is another crossroads. You will recognize it because it looks just like yours. Good old Kinder has franchises all around the place. But that one is special. That was the first one. You'll find him there, licking his wounds, and just this sea of fireflies explodes behind the horse, and you feel the presence gone. And the question that Raw asked you, which was, where to, at least has an answer now.
Which direction did...
2 days east, same road you're going on.
Okay. Maple, I think just... Let's just keep going. We'll know when we get there, where we're going.
Maple, you know I will ride till the end of the world, but I hope you know what you're doing. I am not yet convinced that this thing that happened is something I shouldn't fear. Should I?
It's okay. If you're uncomfortable, I can walk. I'm not that old. You can just go back home and let these tired old bones find their way on their own on foot.
I would say
No, it's okay. I've been walking for longer than you've been alive.
Raw just doesn't answer and says, just tell me where to ride, and just hits the horse like harder.
We'll know when we get there.
So you're riding east?
Yeah. You said that's the direction we were already going. So, it would be guilt
So-
to win.
unless you want to do something in those 2 days, which you're absolutely welcome to do. I would say by the end of the first day, the sun of the cradle, God itself, is never bright enough. So the difference between day and night is more subtle than in the world we live in. But the main difference is that when the sun is dim, all of the sky gets painted with this aurora borealis. But instead of showing color, this aurora is just kind of grayed out. And sometimes when you sit down and look at it for a while, it looks like it's bleeding, like this dark substance. And that's how you know it's night, like night. So I would say that for a moment, you probably rested the 2 days. Do you want to do anything during those 2 rests?
Just to better paint the picture, when you say there isn't a whole lot of difference between day and night, is it that it's dark and day is only slightly lighter, or is it light and night is only slightly
It
darker?
is light. It is light. Night is very bright because of the river,
Okay.
and day is kind of, I would say, not hazy. It's like a very dark January day.
Okay. So, I think that in this time, I don't think we necessarily need to role play through it very well, but I think that there is absolutely a odd dynamic that is being found between Raw and Maple, because Maple is not feeding him.
Yeah.
Maple is... I don't know if that means that Raw takes over or if they are just dealing with food completely separately. But that might feel like a very minor thing in almost any other RPG thing.
How did you...
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely, it's the opposite of a minor thing. How did you brush off Raw the first night? How did you tell them not to, that you were not going to feed them?
I don't think Maple would. I think Maple would be a little too ashamed to state it. I think that
he would have been expecting it, because every single day of your life you would take a bowl of soup and put it in his, like, outside his stable, since he could not physically enter the crossroads.
Yeah, I think that for this, the first night Maple probably would just straight up not cook and see what he did. Rather than make something and refuse to give it, just not make anything. And I think depending on what he did would determine what Maple ended up doing over the course of the rest of the time. Whether he ended up cooking and offering Maple some, or whether he would make some just enough for himself, and Maple would, after Raw was fed, put together something small, quietly, almost secretively, but probably not successfully keeping it hidden totally.
One thing about your relationship with Raw is that he never asked, because he never needed to. So this silence between the two of you it feels like an abyss. Feels like an absolute, like, unreachable dark sea that is uncrossable, because he never asked for food before, and he is not going to start tonight. He just doesn't ask for it. You secretly see him eating a very, very hard potato, because he never ever learned to cook. He doesn't know how to. He never needed to. So he's eating raw vegetables.
Would Maple has heard the words of the curse. Would Maple understand the intricacies of the curse? Like,
yeah, Maple knows that breaking this curse is. I will tell you.
Like, how close to the line Maple could get without breaking it? Would that be something that they would know, or something that they would kind of be feeling out?
I would say thinking about breaking the curse would feel like an indescribable divinity pain. Just thinking about breaking it. But you do know that breaking it will only await disaster.
Yeah. Would I be able to teach him how to cook for himself, is really what I'm getting at. Like, would that count as nourishing him?
Yes.
Okay. So can't comment on the way he's eating, can't comment on the way he's cooking, can't offer input that would aid their nourishment. I think Maple would pretend that they can't see what he's doing. Would be completely just going off doing something else the moment that they realized he was beginning to cook, beginning to eat, just staying away, avoiding him, ignoring him, smiling and acting like everything is normal and fine the rest of the time, but probably as soon as as they turn away, kind of the smile dropping as the pit in their chest grows.
I would say the horse is starving, and Raw didn't feed him.
Does the horse count as others?
Yes.
Oh, damn
Thou
it.
shalt not nourish.
Well, Maple then is also counting the ribs of carrot sticks and trying to figure out whether this horse is going to be able to make it.
The horse will make it. I would say just for the sake of mechanics, if you really want to feel it out. It says when you try to feel out a person, place, or thing, say what you want clearly with clarity about an answer. Just to see if the horse lasts for a day. The GM will give you the clarity you seek as they answer the other. So what feels welcoming on the surface, or what feels dark and unnerving when I peer deeper? So which of the questions would you ask?
I think with regards to this, it's the second part. You know, what feels dark and unnerving. I'm watching this creature slowly waste further away, and I couldn't do much before. I can do even less now. I can't even try. And not just the horse, but also Raw. Although the main thing I'm trying to feel out is whether they're going to be able to make this journey, or whether they are wasting away too quickly.
Good. So as the answer for what feels welcoming on the surface, I would say every time you look at either Raw or the horse, they look back at you with a reassuring smile that they have your back. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
I would say the second day, just for the sake of our time, for the second day, one of the pictures I should paint as we're traveling through this wasteland is that the cradle is just this collection of desaturated, at least this part of the cradle where you've been living all your life. It's just this sort of desaturated land that it does have plant and trees, and it's like, imagine that you're riding through rolling hills and tiny pockets of forests, but trees aren't green, they're kind of gray. Grass makes crackling sounds as you step on it all the time. It's like somehow this entire world has been devoid of nourishing. Like the only green grasses you ever saw in your life were in the crossroads. The only lush trees that you ever picked a fruit from and ate from were in the vicinity of the crossroads. And even though these flowers are blooming everywhere now, I would say that as you travel further and further from the crossroads, you see how this kind of gray painting of a world is just more barren than ever. And the only thing that shines really bright is the skies, this place where the gods used to dwell, that it kind of looks like it's mocking everybody and everyone. You do feel some influences of gods. Now with your divinity attuned to godhood, you feel, whenever you're passing next to a small forest, you feel the god of the hunt manifested as creatures fleeing them. Whenever you are passing through an almost dried up river, you feel the god of fish, which manifests as some sort of as some sort of it manifests as rocks that are trying to move inside of the water but don't, and things like that. You're kind of more attuned, and as you're riding towards this new crossroad, this other place that you've been pointed towards, you start to feel a sort of resentment for all of this for all of these gods, and the words of the god of despair start to, I wouldn't say they make sense. This is for you to decide, but I would say that they start to resonate within you, which is like this world's let's say natural state, status quo, is despair, and it's like the entire world, all these gods killing each other, all these gods fighting each other, have just left this world devoid of resources, both emotional, spiritual, and physical resources. And by the way, you definitely passed big, massive bones and carcasses of dead gods. Like, there's dead gods probably every hour or two. You see another big carcass of a god that killed another. Like, there's a lot of these decaying, some golden bones, some of them are just piles of ash, massive piles of ash. But you see a lot of dead gods. These entities have been really fighting it out lately. But eventually, you see during the beginning of the third day, you do see a pocket of green, a big, massive pocket of green in the distance on the horizon, and you feel the crossroads. Not your not another crossroads. You feel the exact same feeling. You see the exact same thing when the God of Despair was saying Kinder franchised. This is the McDonald's version of an Oasis. Like Kinder definitely has carbon copies of your crossroads on other places of the wasteland. And you see it, and you recognize it as you're going forward. Do you do anything before you get there?
I think that the only thing that I really would do, that Maple would do as they travel, this last little bit, seeing the lush green in the distance, remembering the lush green of the old crossroads, there'd be a little bit of a bitterness, and they would be taking, when they take food, Maple would be pulling food out, say, putting together a sandwich, an apple kind of a thing, and eating half of it, and then taking their power and causing the other half to just decay, and leaving this rotting pre-mulch on the ground in the path behind them.
I'm going to do a little mechanic thing. It's not for flavor. It will be important. Whenever you did that I know it feels small because you only did this to a sandwich, but you're literally wielding the power of the god of decay. And it says here, when you wield the power to do something only a god can, roll 2d6 and fetch and add one for each of these true statements. You've done it before, you haven't. So it's good you're doing it at least once before. You're desperate for this to work? I don't think you are. Are you?
I don't think I don't think enough to check it off. I would say there's a little bit of kind of emotional desperation, but it's not full-blown desperation. It's more of a needing to lash out kind of desperation. So I think I wouldn't say
you wouldn't, but I would.
do. Okay.
Yeah. You wouldn't, but I will give you the extra die, but it will mark 1 strain.
Well, it's not an extra die, it's just +1, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the
Okay.
extra the extra 1. So now roll 2d6.
Okay. Eight.
Okay. You do it. It worked. Actually, it worked perfectly. You did feel this. You did feel this pain, and you did feel these. Again, your awakened divinity inside of you is kind of proud, even of you wielding powers so efficiently. It's like this dark thing inside of you is. This dark thing inside of you is really enjoying this ride. And the fact that you were able to wield the power of a god as a mortal and just flawlessly do it at the first attempt, with a little bit of strain to you, but the first attempt, that's a big thing.
And I will say this is probably about as close as Maple is feeling they can get to breaking the curse without breaking it. Creating this decomposed material to leave behind in hopes of maybe not full-blown intentional, but there's a level of trying to make this desolate space out in the middle of nowhere a little bit more like the lush space from back home.
Okay. So the three of you gallop till where everything starts getting green. And as everything starts getting green, Raw, who has been riding in front of you, stops galloping. The horse doesn't understand why they're speeding down. You start to see these buildings that you recognize 2 days away from your home. This same building. It's a carbon copy. But the carbon copy comes with the same I would say rules. So as you're going forward and Raw starts seeing where you are and is completely confused about this, there's a pulse from the center of this new crossroads that knocks only him, completely out of the horse. And you see Raw as you're riding towards this place slower because he started feeling bad. And then this pulse just knocks him off the horse, and he flies 5 or 6, 15 or 18 feet back as you're left on a horse that doesn't have a rider.
Are we galloping while this happens, or is this more of a trot?
It was slower, but the pulse really pushed Raw farther, and because of your divinity. Now you understand why Raw was never welcome in the crossroads, or especially in your tavern. This is something that Kinder was doing to him, and it applies on all of his franchises. And you see Raw, like, really blow back for 18 or 20 feet, and roll back there. You don't know his state. The horse kind of stops, and you're still on top of the horse. You want to do anything?
I'm going to take the reins and slow Carrot Sticks down to a halt and turn around and face Raw.
You see them really hurt by this. Like, you see them, like, he rolled back for a few feet on the ground on this kind of barren, harsh like environment, until he actually rolled out into the gray part. Like, he was on the green side and just rolled back to the gray side. So let's say you were entering it, and as if this force field can't let him in, but he's all of his left side is bleeding profusely, and looks up at you and doesn't understand what just happened. He just knows he wasn't welcome. And in the same type of resignation every single person in the cradle has, he just looks at you with despair. And you feel somebody feeding a little bit.
Is the blood like a bludgeoning thing, or like?
No, I think he was slashed. He rolled and was slashed through the mud and the ground, and it's just like when you as if he had been dragged through the mud and the stones and the gravel. So it's just gravel, and it's gravel and blood. It's just like someone just was pushed 15 feet on gravel. So you see skin peeling off, and he's just grabbing and hurting and looking at you.
Tell me if this works, because I am going to be, what I'm about to suggest absolutely does not, absolutely bends the intentions of the rules, I think.
Yeah.
I would like to go back to Raw, like climb down off the horse, walk over to Raw, pick him up, kind of brush off his I don't know, riding jacket or whatever he's wearing.
Yeah.
And then before Raw really has an opportunity to fully come to his senses, I'm going to Maple grabs both of his shoulders, puts him in front of them, and just starts pushing him through this wall. And I would like to tempt fate.
Good. When you tempt fate with your actions, say what perilous feat you're trying to accomplish. Is definitely perilous, and roll a 2d6. Add 1 for each true of these true statements. A skilled ally is lending you a hand. I will say he's part of the thing, so yes. You have no other options. I would say no. And you're far from any god that wishes you harm.
This is the thing. It's clearly worded as all of the peril is about me and wishing me harm, but I think really I'm tempting fate on his behalf.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're the Godkiller and you're the divine.
Oh yeah.
So if the god does not wish you harm, which Kinder definitely doesn't, then you can tempt fate.
Okay.
With two extra points. So roll your 2d6.
That would be a 9.
Okay.
7 plus 2.
So you start pushing Raw into the new crossroads, into this lush environment, and you start pushing, and this pulse just starts like pushing back and pushing back and pushing back, and you start really putting some strength to it. And this frail, like older person, this frail older hunched person that Maple is kind of really restraining and really enduring this. And suddenly the divinity within you, this shining unstable thing inside of you, starts pulsing back, and this pulse starts kind of resonating with the power that you already have, that power of decay, and it starts resonating with that power, boom, 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 and it starts pushing, and your pulse and the pulse from the crossroads kind of start canceling each other, and fate, or this thing that did not allow Raw to enter any of Kinder's hearts, kind of shatters in a million pieces, like a very delicate piece of glass, and you hear it shatter, And Ra has been forgiven for what? You never knew. You never knew, but he's been forgiven. But not only that, since we are not too good on time, I'm going to give you something else, a little bit of an extra. That power of decay within you, that thing that you collected resonates with the downfall of the god that is hiding in this place. And you feel they're hiding, and you feel for the first time the downfall of Kinder, which is decay. So now you have one of the two weapons you need in case you need to kill it.
All right.
And now it's you, the tavern, the little buildings around it. One of the things that is weird for you is that there's not many people. It's not like your crossroads where there's always people passing by. There's probably a couple of horses in the stables and a couple of little carts that are kind of like forgotten. But the tavern is there. It looks so familiar. After Ra is forgiven, the pulse kind of cured his wounds a little bit. The spell of the hearth, that nourishing spell of helping people recover, helping people heal, it's active here. It's just as you remembered it. People healed faster. Food tasted better. And you see Ra healing as you enter. And he looks at you and says, I can go no further from you.
That's okay. I've been alone before. You do whatever you need to do. Now that you're able to go where you want, it's fine. You can walk away from me. You do whatever it is that you came here to do.
And he looks at you and says, no, Maple. I will wait. I always wait for you.
Very good. I didn't need your company right now anyway. It's fine. I'm not just about to go that. She just kind of starts mumbling a little bit under their breath. And looks at him again and brushes a few more things off his jacket and turns and strides over to the tavern.
Good. You walk over to the tavern, and as you open the door, this feels like a very, very slow day, right? You've had some of these days when nobody's passing by and there's only 2 or 3 patrons. But you were always there to say hello to people. And just as in your version of Crossroads, there's someone there to say hello to people. You see this male presenting kind of very friendly faced individual with an apron, very similar to yours, all stained with stains of oil and food, but with that very warm and happy smile that you used to have, or you remember having. It's probably 10 years back, not anymore. You're a little bit more tired now. But you say, oh, a customer. Oh, hello, welcome. What can we do for you?
With this,
they have this tiny little mustache, very like this image of like a kind of gnomish, like short little person, with all of his or their hair is graying, so they're probably just your age.
Does this like surprise at having new customer or anything? Is this like a almost a desperate surprise, like oh my god, we haven't
No.
had anybody in a while, or is this just like oh hey, new face?
It's a hey new face, sit down and have something. Like it's a welcoming. It feels warm. Feels like the hearth is active here. It feels like the passing of time is slower. The smell of food is better. If we, for the sake of narrative, if we say that you had been having these feelings that something was wrong with your crossroads, let's say for a year, since people started getting sick, like this is what it felt one day before that. One day before the first person got sick, when you felt like the crossroads was thriving.
Would you say that my old crossroads fell into the domain of despair?
I wouldn't. I would say your old crossroads was... No. I'm not gonna fall for that trick. I'm not gonna fall for that trick. You're gonna have to recognize a god. That said, you are in or near their domain. You're very familiar with their god spell. And it would be bad if you didn't know.
You mean Kinder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you. I can't tell Maple that without rolling.
So here's dog barking. Here's what I think Maple is looking for in this space. What Maple desperately is trying to find is one, Kinder, who they have been told is here, and two, they are also looking for Snay.
Good.
Because Snay said they were going to follow and accompany.
I would say you still need to roll.
Yep,
But
I figured. I just want you to know, like, I'm looking for both of them.
That's perfect. That sounds like a fantastic question.
Okay. So am I rolling twice, one for each,
No.
or how is this working?
You have just roll 2d6 with +3.
Okay. That would be a 10.
Okay, that's an overkill. An overkill. On an overkill, you realize your divinity is actively trespassing against them right now. Okay, so
What does that mean?
that's something that I have to decide. So, the moment you enter the new crossroads, or these crossroads, bizarro crossroads, the idea you're in, you try to do a double feel. You're trying to find Kinder, but you're also trying to feel out for Snipe. As you do this, you do not recognize traces of a sty on absolutely anything more than the usual despair mortals feel. So you feel a little part of Snai on this barkeep. You do feel a little part of Snai on probably a mother with her 2 children that are refusing to eat their soup on the corner of the tavern. You feel a little bit of despair on one of those 2 children who is very sad that their dog died a few weeks back. But nothing present, nothing massive, nothing changing. It's just the despair within everyone. But you feel, the moment you start trying to do this recognition, You feel that your divinity is definitely trespassing here, but because you are very attuned to Kinder and Kinder is very attuned to you, you know you're trespassing. They don't. You start feeling the weight of your presence in this place, and those tendrils that are inside of you you feel them crawling up to your feet and start measuring the floor. Like if you look down, you would see like this kind of roots, these little roots start like getting into the floorboards and just and from your feet they start like treading all of the wood, like as if they're smelling for something. You're definitely trespassing. You know you're trespassing, but the god that is hiding here. Let's say that with that overkill, with that 10, you confirm what's nice said. Kinder is hiding. And these roots are definitely treading the floor.
Yeah, but I don't recognize specifically where they are or anything.
This place reeks of Kinder. I would say that these tendrils that are coming from under your foot are definitely trying to go down. That's what I would say.
Is there anything around that looks like it goes down? Is there like a cellar? If this is identical, would I even know? Or what would I know if there's such a space?
That's
Or
a
is it
fantastic question. And since you know this place like the back of your hand and then some, you do recognize next to the fireplace in the back of the where the big chimney is, with the big fireplace where a lot of people just rest for the night after a big rain, you see a trapdoor that doesn't. You see a trapdoor that was not in your version of this place. It's very subtle, but you definitely recognize it.
Anybody else paying any attention to the trapdoor? Does it look like people recognize
Oh
it?
no, it's been there. It's been there since this place was founded. It's just not in your copy.
Okay.
There was no basement in your crossroads.
So
So if there's a trapdoor, there is a room under you, and that room does not exist in your version of the crossroads.
okay, but I don't see anybody like interacting with it or anything.
Oh no. No. This person is still wondering if you're going to eat something.
I think Mabel is going to just order a bowl of soup and a single peach.
This tavern keep looks at you and goes, that's our specialty. It takes a little bit longer to prepare, but feel free, grab a table. We're not very busy today, and I will make sure that I prepare it myself. And goes into the kitchen, leaving you semi-alone with the space.
Okay. Mabel is going to grab a table as close to the hearth and the trapdoor as possible. Sit down and watch for a moment the comings and goings of this establishment. How long does it take for food to arrive?
20 minutes.
Anything happen in that time?
It's as uncanny and familiar as you would remember. There is the only thing that's lacking in this place is you.
If Maple looks at the trapdoor, is there anything about it? Is it just a unremarkable trapdoor, or is there anything notable about it?
There is something notable. Your divinity is making the rock over it invisible.
So there is a rock over it, and I can't see it, or other people around me can't see it.
Everybody can see it. It's a big wool, beautiful tapestry, like a big rock, thick rock.
A rug. I thought you were saying rock.
Rock. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm like picturing a boulder just in the middle of this tavern.
It's a beautiful rug, RUG.
So is it like I can't see? Like I have a vague sense that there's a rug, but I can't see it, or is it like kind of I can see through it, kind of a deal? I can see both if I'm paying attention.
You can see both if you're paying attention. You know.
Is there a pattern to the rug? Like, is there any kind of notable features about it? I'm just wondering if there's a story in it. Okay. All right.
It's just hiding the trapdoor, but you can see it.
All right. So I'm going to wait for my food. When it arrives, Maple takes the soup, drinks the soup, takes the peach, cuts it open, leaves the pit in the middle of the table. Actually, no, sorry. Takes the pit, leaves the pulp in the middle of the table, and wanders over to the trapdoor. Looks around, makes sure nobody's watching. Opens it and peeks inside.
I would say you can do that with ease since the place is kind of empty. When you peek inside, you see a staircase, a rock staircase, dark basement under it. You sneakily enter and close the trapdoor behind it.
Well,
it goes
if it's dark.
Oh,
if it's dark,
it is dark.
I will. Maple, I think, would try to quietly grab a. My brain wants to say cinder, but that's not quite the right word. A small stick or something from the fire. Bring down.
When that thought crosses your mind, you hear again a voice in your ear that says, "That won't be necessary, Maple." And as you peek inside again, the trapdoor, there's fireflies illuminating the path.
Consider it just an act of comfort.
Okay.
Maple is still going to take it. You are not going to take this away from me, Daniel.
That's perfect. You go down.
Surrounded by fireflies holding this burning stick. Going to descend the staircase.
You go down these stairs. And you wonder, why wasn't there a basement in your copy of the Crossroads? Why, as you go down, there's a discomfort about going into an unfamiliar place in the most familiar home you ever had. It's like finding a secret from a loved one that you've lived with for 15 years, and then you find they have a horrible secret that they've been hiding from you. This basement feels like that. And you go down all the way to the bottom of the basement. Some fireflies are still illuminating the path, but yeah, your piece of fire is way better for this. And as you get to the bottom of the basement, it's absolutely empty. There's nothing there. Just rock, dust, nothing.
Okay. So, talking to, is it Snay or Snai?
Snai.
Snai. Talking to Snai. So, where is he?
I don't know.
Well then, where are you?
I've already told you. I'm inside everyone.
Does it... Let's see. I'm trying to figure out a way to
You-
ask this. Does it
do you-
feel like there's actually a unique presence of Snai with me? Or does it actually feel like this is just a bit of like a omnipresence blanket that's around everything and everyone?
I would say, okay, that's a good question because it has to do with the cradle. In the cradle, gods come and go, so they're always kind of present, but it doesn't feel like he has any agency, if that makes any sense.
Hmm. So,
All the
Is there
agency Snai has is on the things he says to you.
trying to find a way to draw Snai out. I would
You can-
like to confront both of them down here.
Good. I love what you're thinking, but for that, I would suggest either unleashing your divinity or I say it would be a little bit overkill if you manifest a miracle by destroying your decay power. But I would say unleashing your divinity would definitely bring both of these entities to light. I would say challenge someone dangerous applies, but only to one of them, not to the two.
Okay. I think I'm going to do one for each. So this is what I'm going to do first. I'm going to unleash my... actually, I'm going to challenge
Divinity.
someone dangerous. I'm
Okay.
going to challenge Snai. And I'm going to...
Oh, sorry. I did not read the rules well enough.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering...
In front
Yeah.
of an audience. There
All right,
has to be
so I'm
an
going to
audience,
unleash
and
my
you-
divinity first.
Okay.
And I'm going to kind of let these tendrils... They're not tendrils, they're whips. Because the whole thing with this divinity is that it's kind of a manifestation of lashing out. that
Good,
goes around
good,
you. It's this,
good.
yeah, it's this opposition of the nurturing that Maple has spent most of their life attempting to perform and adhere to. But as Maple's divinity just kind of begins to unleash, these whips just start, kind of writhing and slapping the walls and smacking everything, and with every touch, there's just this little lash of decay. This little lash of whatever they touch. There's a little bit of decay.
Good.
And
Yeah.
as Maple is doing this, Kinder, where are you? I know you're down here. Show yourself.
So as these lashes start lashing absolutely everything on the basement, like just hitting everything, right? With decay. I will ask you to roll a 2d6 for wield of power.
So that would be 9 plus I've Actually, I haven't done this specific act before, so not that one.
I would say you've used the power.
Okay, so that would be plus
And
one.
you're unleashing divinity, which applies like you have a lot in your favor right now. So
okay.
I would say it counts.
Okay. Well, I guess actually that's enough to put me into overkill, so it doesn't matter what else I get. I roll a 6 and a 3.
So that's plus. You're desperate for this to work.
I mean, sure. The only thing that would change is the strain that I mark.
Yeah, you mark. Did you mark it?
Yeah, I will. Yep.
Okay, good. Mark the strain, and you have +2 plus what you roll. What that was?
11.
11. On overkill, the GM will describe how you also drain, terrify, or wreck what's around you. Good. That's perfect. So, you unleash your divinity, and these lashes that start lashing at the entire basement start. Imagine that every time that you hit a wall, it starts crumbling. That piece of the wall starts crumbling from within you, from within these lashes, from within this kind of lashes that like decay everything around them. You see a figure just like drop in front of you, like a little rolling thing, and as you look at the floor, you see a rat. You see a little rat looking at you. You're still lashing at everything, right? Absolutely everything. But this little rat is like frightened, looking at you from the floor. But also, all of the walls around you, all the walls in the basement start chipping down. And what you start seeing is that after they start chipping down, behind the walls of this basement, there is kind of these, I would say, these walls that look a little bit like, you know how a fire, a chimney, the thing under it, the
fireplace.
The fireplace. You know how a fireplace looks red? You know how it looks red when it's too hot? That's how the entire basement looks. Now it's absolutely illuminated. I would say that because you unleash your divinity, and it's so powerful, and your divinity is unstable, dark, and what was the other thing?
Unpredictable.
And unpredictable, which is what's happening right now. This thing is unstable, and it's lashing absolutely everything. You've
fearsome, dark, and hard to control.
Yeah. You've just discovered the heart of Kinder. Basically, because you unleash your divinity, and because you lash at this basement, the actual basement,
My headphones just died.
No. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Let's see. Let's see. Hopefully this is the climax.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good.
For those headphones to die.
So, I would say you were lashing at everything. You were lashing at absolutely everything. All of the walls chipped down, and now this basement is now looks like a hot fireplace. You've just discovered Kinder's heart. This particular basement, this space, in these particular versions of the Crossroads, which now with this Divinity Unleashed, you know that there's at least 200 copies of this place, with 200 maples. But this particular one, has this one basement, and this basement is the heart of Kinder. You're inside the god. You're inside the god. And the god cannot manifest physically other than that. So you've definitely rebuilt Kinder, but you've also rebuilt Snai. as he blurted out as like a little rat, I would say that for the sake of this episode, that rat is not Sny's heart. It's a manifestation. It's not Sny's heart. And also, you don't have Sny's downfall. That said, you do have Kinder's heart and Kinder's downfall, which is DK. You know those two things. You don't have to act upon them or do absolutely anything. I'm giving you back. I'm giving you back the whole thing. And since you unleash divinity, you get the reins of the game. You get the reins of the game, and you get to tell me what happens with these two gods revealed in front of you.
Well, what I was hoping to do was to force both of them to fully reveal, challenging Sny after I've created an audience for him.
You have.
So I think that the next thing that Maple does, seeing this manifestation of Sny within the heart of Kinder, I would pick up the rat, hold the makeshift torch next to it, very, very close. So, you have something to say to Kinder? Why don't you come and say it to his face? And I want to challenge him
Do it.
to
Do it again.
appear fully.
Do it again.
Roll again? Or
Yeah, 2d6.
Okay. So that's a 5 and a 1, so that's a 6 plus yeah, they don't care. So this would be challenge, right? So those three. So they don't care about my opinion.
And they think they're stronger than you, definitely. So
yeah.
that's 7. That's a hit.
Okay. All
Your
right.
target rises to the bait. The rat looks at you and begins turning and twisting in front of you. And this rat turns into the full form or heart of the god of despair. A very scared child.
I think Maple looks down at this child, looks at the giant heart of Kinder. I will say this once. You two play such dangerous games, feeding each other. You have two options. The first, Kinder, my friend. You can cease to hold your oases tightly bound and release them. Let the green flow across the world. Or I can simply wipe you out right here. Snai, I turn back to the child. I want you to watch this and understand that this is not a victory for you.
That's so good. Good. Snai is paralyzed within the heart of Kinder. Kinder booms, or I would say heats up. And you feel its love. Kinder doesn't speak. It never spoke. It never once in your life speak to you. You just felt it. And if you ever heard voices, there were probably other gods trying to play to be him. Kinder is just this basement that nourishes and that heats up pockets of the world. But you are right. You are right. Kinder is not nice and happy god that just makes little oases. He hoards this power for himself. He needs to feed people. Every time somebody eats inside of one of these places, Kinder gets stronger. So, you feel that this entity will not relinquish this power. Not for its life. There's still little it can do to you, the Godkiller. But if angered, you know what can happen to 200 franchises of this place, feeding people right now? But that power of nourishment, that power of feeding, of giving others or giving things to others, this God holds it. You can take that power by force. You can forgive Kinder or spare Kinder, and they will be indebted to you. But from the question you asked, the answer Kinder gave you in this form of heat is, I will not relinquish this power. I love you, my chosen one. I will always love you, and if you make this choice, I will go for you. But this is my power, and I will not stop.
So, Maple turns away from this vision of Kinder back to Snai and walks over to the child and kneels down and takes the flaming branch or whatever stick, whatever it was, and brings it in front between them. I owe you nothing. She drops the fire into the room around whatever flammable materials might be there, and begins to walk out, using their power to spread the decay further, deeper, as they just walk back up the staircase, not watching what happens behind them.
My question for you, Godkiller, is if you're using the downfall, which is the decay, inside the heart of the god, am I to read correctly that you're killing Kinder?
I think that yes, because if I understand basically what you said, it was that Kinder communicated that they would not just not give up this power, but they wouldn't expand. Because my request wasn't give up the power; it was stop having these oases, let it spread.
Yeah.
And it was either that, the oases, or I would have the power, which would put that decision in my hands.
Yeah.
I think that's not really a question.
Then we need a 2d6.
Okay, I rolled a 4. Let's see what else I have to add to this.
Nothing. It's a crucible move.
Fuck me.
So,
yeah.
when you confront a god in their true form and exploit their downfall to kill them, describe how you slay them, which is exactly what you did, which was beautiful, by the way. As you're walking up the stairs, you start feeling inside of you this amazing power, this amazing, almost delicious power, which is the power of nourishment, right? The power of, which will be very interesting because you cannot use it. The power of nourishment as you're going up the stairs and you start realizing, oh fuck, I have this amazing power and I cannot use it. You're starting to go up those stairs. And as you cross the threshold, as you cross that final trapdoor going up, you hear in the back of your head, "Thou shalt not speak." Taking from this moment on your power to spread absolutely anything about this by spoken word. But as you walk up and you feel this amazing power of nourishment inside of you that you cannot use because of the other curse, when you go out, you start seeing all of these purple flowers growing inside of this crossroads. Like, it's the power of Kinder is gone. It's now within you. And for the sake of time, because we are very, 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 very much out of time, I will ask you a couple of things. You can manifest a miracle if you want to do exactly the thing you said.
I have exactly the plan for what I want to do.
That is, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to go all the way up. You are now. I'm gonna let you go up and finish this story as it is supposed to go.
All right. Well then, Mabel, as you said, walks up the stairs. Their power lashing out behind them, exiting the tavern, seeing all these flowers, and is going to manifest not one, but 2 miracles.
Oh shit, you're gonna sacrifice the 2 of them.
The very first miracle is to take every god that I've seen, every carcass that has paved the path between Crossroads and beyond. Everyone that I've seen and everyone that I know exists. And I'm going to decay them. I'm going to turn them into nothing but dirt. And I'm going to make this, because decay is really just nutrition, I'm going to turn the land fertile. And I'm going to nourish it with my second miracle. And I'm going to take all of the greenery, all the lush that I have seen, and I'm going to spread it across the entire world, betraying my curse.
The curse.
And accepting my fate, whatever that may be.
This is a fantastic and beautiful ending. But because we want to play with this game and really demo this game so people can play it later, we need to do a final rule. What happens when you violate a curse? When you violate the terms of a curse, await disaster and answer 1. So you will answer one of these questions. What shatters beyond repair? What mutates beyond recognition? Or what shifts beyond your reach?
I hadn't thought this far ahead. Let's see. I think, frankly, what shifts beyond my reach is my Godkiller power.
I love that.
I think that Maple has effectively achieved the thing that started their path, which is reversion of their capacity to nourish. They've fulfilled everything that they need to. And so both between their no longer needing this power and crossing the curse, that power is stripped of them.
I feel this is fantastic ending for me.
I don't know if that's bad enough, but
no. It is. That would be, if it was a campaign, that would be the worst thing that could happen. But what I would say is, I have to answer another question, which is what shatters beyond, what mutates beyond recognition. The moment Maple decides to perform the miracle of nourishment and bring this into the world, manifest nourishment into the world, the side effect is that absolutely every single mortal in the cradle has gotten a little bit of divinity in them, potentially creating one or many Godkillers as of this day. And with that, we really need to close.
Death to the gods. Yeah.
This was amazing, dear Dylan. It's been really fun. I hope you enjoyed the story.
I did. It was fun working with you and also struggling to try to get what I like, this vision that I had halfway through, like actually through happening.
It went amazing. We will have a postmortem because you and I talk all the time. But I really need to start closing this down. Dylan, please plug everything you want to plug. Tell us everything about yourself and let us know where can people find you and what can they see if they like what they saw from your roleplaying.
Yeah, so I am the GM of the Children of Ash, a real play RPG podcast where we tell stories about the world after the world. We heavily homebrew all kinds of systems. Our first story arc I'm still editing and releasing. That's in 5th edition. The second story arc, which we're currently recording, is in Fate. And we are just telling stories about this fun little world that I've been playing in and creating for...
Building forever?
Yeah, actually, Daniel's introduction to Dungeons & Dragons was a one-shot that I ran in this world. That's how old it is. But anyway, I can be found, or my project can be found at Facebook, The Children of Ash, and Linktree / The Children of Ash. I Yeah, I'm terrible with my personal socials, so they can be found from the link tree for the most part, but the Children of Ash project is really the center of everything. Yeah.
Awesome. So without further ado, I would like to thank Gen Firefly, our sponsor. I would like to thank our player. Thank you so much, Dylan, for coming here as a guest. I hope that you get to play more games with Roll 5. There's always openings here and there, so
Yeah,
really
thank
nice
you
to
for
see
having
play.
me.
We loved having you here. And thank you so much to Nat'ly, who stayed for over 45 minutes. Because everybody in Roll 5 knows that whenever they give me a game, I tend to like go for another hour. I really apologize. I know that On is out there looking at me, but I really think that this story deserved it. This was fantastic. Thank you so much. And without further ado, have a great rest of your Saturday. This has been a Table for Two Saturday showcase for Roll 5. We really enjoy having games for two, and we're gonna have more in the future. Thank you so much.